We're here to give you information about what's going on. And hey, you actually heard some insider information right there. But what was
I think it just said right now we're live. So.
Okay. Well, hey, we're here for educational purposes. We want to just kind of let you guys know what's going on in the crypto world. There's none other in all of Las Vegas area than my partner, Bret Jenny. He is on top of it. And, you are in the right place at the right time. I was actually on a Zoom, and I'm getting out of that Zoom right now.
But I just got done with him as well.
Yeah, man, I've been crazy today, training and this and that, man. All these tax credit programs going crazy, nuts, but some great stuff, man. Oh my God! But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. That's the great thing about the podcast. You can have fun. You can, you can do what you want to do, and that's what we're here. But the main thing is for you guys to understand that there's some really good information going on here. I don't see a timer on here, Bret. We might. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Yeah.
We're about a minute into the show. So anyway, what we're going to talk about today, Bret? Let's talk about what you were talking about, man. Well, let's talk about what's happening with the crypto market, the Bitcoin.
Talking about Bitcoin dropping like a rock in water.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, so yeah, I did another podcast that I do every Friday as well, and I just told the guy I was doing the podcast with on Friday. I think it was at like 64,000, and I said, "You see the 1 day mark? This thing's going down to at least 60, if not 55, hopefully 50." Which I know people don't want to hear, but I have some buys set at around 51,000. So,
okay.
My overall thought is this, and the same thing I said on Friday, which is even if it drops right now, we're still at the very beginning of a bull run. And yes, I'm basing it, on one hand, Bitcoin being 15 years old is still relatively new. I'll give it that. But if you want to go by the past cycles, they all run cyclical with each other, right? Yep. So the bull run started probably in February, and it will go till probably the fall, if not the end of 2025. Then we'll have a bear market, and the bear market will be about a 4-year cycle as well, which means it starts to fall and then it peters around, But by the time it bottoms out and then starts settling itself to go back up for the next bull run will be between 3 to 4 years. And it's the same thing with the bull run. So, even though it's going down right now, it's just resettling itself.
Right.
Personally, I think that by next year, it'll be over 100,000, if maybe not hit around 125. Could be wrong, could be right. That's just my personal opinion. I think that there's a lot more big money involved now that it's an ETF. But at the same point, they can do a lot of things now so you have to buy the underlying asset to sell the ETF. But there's lots of different ways to kind of structure that so that, let's take for like the banking system, right? The banking system is kind of like this. The way they lend you is, I have a candy bar and I lend you the candy bar, Dan, right?
Mm-hmm.
You take that candy bar and you lend it to somebody else. They take that candy bar, they lend it to somebody else. They take that same candy bar and lend it to somebody else. So now you've got 5 candy bars in the system, but there's only really one candy bar.
The original one.
Right?
Yep.
So think about that. There's 5 candy bars in the system, but in reality, there's only one candy bar.
Right.
So you can kind of do that with stocks to a certain degree. But at the same point, even though you can do that, you're going to have a lot of this bull run, especially this next half. You're going to see a lot of what I call boomer money, which is your age.
Yes, you are right about it. I am a baby boomer.
You're going to see a lot of people that have their 401k retirement accounts where they're going to say, okay, I want to have exposure to Bitcoin as a hedge, but I don't want to have to like go through the work of owning a wallet and buying Bitcoin. So all I need to do is go through my brokerage, my stock brokerage, and I can just do it through there. So I can have exposure to it, but I don't need to go through everything you need to do with it. So I think you're going to see more and more and more, whether it's 5% or 10% of a lot of these retirement accounts, or even funds or pension funds that are going to start giving a little bit of their money and dedicating it towards Bitcoin or Ethereum ETFs, just to have the exposure to it.
Yeah.
So once BlackRock and Fidelity and these other major firms took it on, it legitimized a lot of it. And you're having the legislation about a year ago that you couldn't do wrong no matter what you did. You couldn't do right no matter what you did with crypto. That's no longer the theme anymore. So you don't really see any opposition. In fact, a lot of these congressmen and senators want to push forward with it. So I know not to say any political parties, but Donald Trump realized that there was a whole segment of Bitcoiners out there of a vote that he could get simply because Joe Biden was so against crypto, or his administration was. But now that Donald Trump's all for that, now Joe Biden, you're seeing, is come around and saying, oh, let's pass some legislation and let's be pro crypto and pro Bitcoin.
You know what? I'm sorry.
You know, I listen, both sides are doing it just to get the vote. I get it. But what I'm saying is the sentiment is the complete opposite of what it was in the bear market. And that always happens, which is you just got to let things run its course.
You know, it's funny you say that, man, because I'm an independent. I don't go far left or far right. I can't stand either one of those two. I just like the average everyday.
I know that's your choices. Can you believe that?
Man, but I tell you what, you know what? I don't know whether it was 6 months ago when Biden was so negative about crypto that I was like, you know what? After I listened to something, and it was him, and it was just the whole everything was geared towards the negativity towards just the crypto market in itself. You know what I said? I'm not voting for you because I mean, you're messing with my money now.
Well,
you know
that's the thing is you're seeing, I think a lot of people are going to vote for Trump who didn't last time just because the economy. And I know it's not just, you know, straight laced like that and Biden's fault, and there's a lot of circumstances, I guess is what I'm saying. But regardless, the buck stops at the end, and that's what comes and goes with being a leader is you get some credit you don't deserve in both directions. That's right. That's just the way it is, right? So
that's the way it is.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people are just like, listen, man, the economy is just a wreck, and it's costing me 4 times as much to live. And you know, even if they think Trump is a bully and the hugest jerk you've ever met, they're like, well,
hey man, I get it.
My pocketbook improves, but you know, here's the whole thing: is like Bitcoiners we're more of like an anarchist group, you know, not an anarchist group, but we're, you know, I guess kind of in a sense, which we question a lot of things. And we're very much against the system in a lot of ways. And it just seemed like the last 3 or 4 years that, you know, they want you to go along the system. They want you to go along. They want you to just accept and not, you know, and that goes against who Bitcoiners kind of at the core of who we are.
Independent, baby, independent. You know, we don't want any government regulation at all, period. So leave us alone.
Let things, I mean, that's true capitalism. Now, with that being said, at the same point, I'm a realist, right? So I'm like, hey, anarchy and independent and let true capitalism happen. But, you know, if you go back to the housing crisis in 08, 07, I should say, you know, when everybody criticized Obama for stepping in and signing over legislation to basically pay a bunch of the bank's bills. But people don't understand, you know, they make comments like, oh, they should have just let them fail and this and that. No, we shouldn't have.
Right.
Because literally, Obama was told, hey, within 24 hours, if you don't step in, we're going down to a third world country.
It's true.
So, like, you know, do you really want pure capitalism on that end? It sounds good and it looks good. But the reality is, if Obama wouldn't have stepped in and signed those bills, we would have gone down literally to a second or third world country, literally within 24 hours with everything failing.
Yeah.
So, you know, man, I don't think I'm the only one that thinks that the world is waiting for us to slip.
Oh man, they can't wait for us to slip.
If we give that to them, they're going to take advantage of that, you know.
And they're going to hold on to it. With that being
said, pure capitalism, I get it, but at the same point, they're, you know, the real situation was if Obama didn't step in, man, people don't want to know. It sounds good. It's a good sound piece, but the reality is none of us want to go back to that. You know?
No, like you said, people, a lot of times people, like you said, they don't want to know. That was a key statement you just made. As you know, me and you were involved in the crypto markets and what's going on with the dollar. You know, we educate ourselves on, you know, everything switching over to the digital dollar versus the paper dollar. And, you know, I talk to people about it and they think I'm out of my mind. They're, the government's not going to do that. That's a long time away. You know, I was like, do you think that they can just continue to print money with nothing behind it?
Here's the way you look at it. So I watched an interview. You know who Michael Saylor is?
Yep.
Anybody watching right now, you should watch some YouTube videos on Michael Saylor. And he was given an interview and they said, why do you think, you know, one of the kids interviewing him said, well, Bitcoin being money, do you really think the government's going to allow that? And I agree with him with his answer, which is, and I've always looked at it this way, Bitcoin isn't money, man. Right. It shouldn't be money. By the time you pay fees and you do this, all that, you're paying 20% more for something.
Yep.
Why would you do that? You wouldn't pay 20% more for something.
Nope.
So it's like Bitcoin is not supposed to be, you know, a currency. It's supposed to be a store of value. Why do people buy real estate? Why do people stick their money into other assets? Yeah, yes, real estate, if it goes up in price, it's like if Bitcoin goes up in price, that's a great thing as well. But you're doing it to preserve your capital.
That's what it
right?
is.
So if you have it in cash, it's a currency and it's going always down in value.
Mm-hmm.
So Bitcoin to me shouldn't be a currency. It should literally be a store of value, like owning properties or owning paintings or whatever it is that are or stocks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it should be a store of value to preserve your wealth. And it's a store of value that the world agrees upon. So, you know, if you want to make payments on something, there's plenty of other things you can do that with. But to me, it shouldn't be a currency. And then you don't have to worry about any of those problems of the government. This is like a currency is a government-backed fiat medium of exchange. But this is a store of currency like gold, right? 80% of gold is used for a store of value. 20% of gold is used for utility. You know, whether it's rings or jewelry or whatever the hell it is.
Right.
But 80% of the use of gold is for nothing other than a store of value. Mm-hmm. And that's the way that I look at Bitcoin.
Speaking of gold, I invited somebody that I met that's been in the gold for like 25 years. And I invited him to be a guest on our next show so we can have a few questions for him. It's pretty awesome, man. I like the way he does it. Have you ever seen anybody who actually would just, when you buy the gold, you actually get the gold right in your hand, the gold coins? It's pretty cool.
That's the way you should do it. Like
I know.
Like I said before, all these people are like, I own gold. Why? Because they own a stock or they own whatever it says. but they don't physically have the gold. If you don't physically have the gold, you don't own gold, man. You own a piece of paper.
That's exactly.
And when the you-know-what hits the fan, do you think they're going to, here you go?
Right.
No.
Exactly.
Cool. I'm all for it, man. It's a good hedge. Right. I'm not going to, I think you should have Bitcoin too, but that's just a personal, because I think that you can facilitate the value of it a lot easier.
Oh, big time. Yeah, I met this gentleman at it was like a CEO convention over at the Green Valley Resort about 2 weeks ago. It was awesome, man. I met some very high level people, a lot of CFOs, CEOs. And,
where was this?
This was at the Green Valley Resort. It's it's called CEO Suite or something like that. Mm-hmm. And for what I do in the tax credit world, they're my demographic. And so I showed up, got great contacts, already taking advantage of some of the people in there are already referring me customers, and it was cool, man. Yeah, man, it was great. And let
me know if they need to sell any of their homes.
Hey, man, you never know. Absolutely. No, that was really cool. Matter of fact, they have a group that it's like $99 a month, and they do local events across the country. I think they meet quarterly. I'm just blown away of the quality. You've been to networking groups. You know how we, mm-hmm. The demographic of most networking groups.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of people that are just, a lot of solopreneurs that are trying to get to that customer. Mm-hmm. Especially if you do B2B sales. Well, guess what? I found it's the motherlode of a group that is it's national. It's been around. They started during COVID, and man, I'm meeting guys that have 5,000 employees, 1,000 employees, wow. CEO of and these cats are like down to earth too, man. It's a trip.
Yeah, they usually are, man.
Yeah, these.
Hey, man, they usually are. They don't come here and sign. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is most people who have accumulated in life mm-hmm. at whatever level. I mean, yeah, some are born better off. Well, they may be born better off and this and that, but for the most part, to have the kind of wealth that they have, most people work for it. There's a few people born with a silver spoon, but for the most part, and that's why they're humble. They built something from the ground floor up.
Yeah, man, and it takes hard work. People under TV, the public can be so uneducated and sometimes straight out jealous when they see people that are really successful, but they don't know how hard these people grind to get a business. You start a business, it may take them 10, 15, 20 years to get that business, to where it's really profitable. And a lot of these guys are, man, just like people have no idea, man. It just trips me out. I hear negativity.
People don't want to see the work, right? They see the reward. Yeah. Well, hell, I want the reward too without having to put in the work. It's kind of like this. That you got to put in the work, and most people won't. Mm-hmm. And as proof to that, I think I mentioned before on here, it's like, people who go to Tony Robbins' course, they'll pay $20,000 to go to this live seminar for 2 or 3 days. But realistically, the statistics of people who come out of that and better their business and better their life and make more money is 25%. So what about the other 75%? They get the same information. They're there at the same time, receiving the same messages. Right. Why do only 25% increase their worth? Because if you look at humans, that's 10 to 15 to 25% are the ones that actually take action on it. Like hearing is a million things and paying for a million courses is great, but there's no secret. Like you can get all this information for free on the internet. It's that most people don't take action. So these CEOs took action, man. They took a lot of action, a lot of stress, a lot of things. And it's easy for somebody to not see any of that and just see the reward. Oh,
Yep.
And honestly, when a lot of people get jealous or spread hate towards someone who's successful, it's because it's reflective on their own life.
It's true.
Like they could have, should have, wanted to, but they never did.
Yep.
And this reminds them of that. So who wants to take self-accountability, man? That sucks.
Yeah, really, huh? Well, I mean, it's the same thing if you look at your industry in real estate. 10% of the top realtors make 90% of the sales.
Absolutely.
You know, what's the other 90% doing? You know,
barely getting by.
Barely. I mean, super barely. So, I mean, and same thing, most anything, you know, insurance sales, same thing, 80-20, whatever it is. It's just, man, I'll tell you what, if you're not swinging the bat, you're not going to get a hit.
Yeah.
You got to get busy.
And that's the thing. Like what Wayne Gretzky, the hockey player, said. He's like, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yep. Hey, why do you think you see me every time there's something happening? Who do you see?
Yeah.
Me. I'm out there swinging that bat. I never know who I'm going to meet. You got to.
You can't win the lottery if you don't buy a ticket.
Absolutely.
Right?
That's it.
Like, because you know how it is, man, being an entrepreneur. It's like there's a lot of things you've tried, a lot of things you've done. And like I've seen some of the most successful people who are doing the right thing at the right time in the right place and a lot of right combinations. But so what they did wasn't some genius route or moves they made. It was just a lot of work combined with doing it long enough for the right moment to come along. But regardless, my point is, you know, for every thousands that fail, you only need that one. And that's that lottery ticket. Right. But you can't get in a position to even have that happen if you don't go up the bat, like you said.
Yeah, you got to, man. You definitely.
Action, dude. That's all it is. It's like when people tell me a great idea, I'm like, great.
Right.
Action, dude. Are you going to do something about it or not? If you do, you know.
I know.
But most people don't.
I know. I get it, man. Just, you know. Anyway, hey, it's kind of tough, man. If you're an entrepreneur and if you're not really just grinding, man, how can you really be successful, man? You really got to go hard at this thing, man, until you see some traction. And it might take you a couple years. So what? Yeah. You know, a lot of people just give up. That's crazy.
You're getting off easy.
Huh? What?
I said, if you can do it in a couple years, you're getting off easy.
That's so true. That's true. You should take at least a 5 to 10 year projection on what you're doing, you know. But a lot of people don't. They just jump into business, think they're going to get successful, think they're going to do this and do that. And if it doesn't happen in 6 months, you never see them again. They're gone. Yeah. It's crazy.
I mean, all you got to do is not be afraid of yourself and take action. You're the only person that has any fear of failing on it.
Yeah.
Well, what if I do that? You're the only person who's thinking that, man.
Yep.
The world notices.
That's true. Well, you know what, Bret? This has been great. I did it last time we did. I know you couldn't make it, but I just jumped on and I did an overview of tax credits, and then in 2 weeks we're going to have the guy on gold. So I think we gave we had a pretty nice little show. Hopefully you guys were able to get a little information today about what's going on in the economy and the world, but specifically in Bitcoin and crypto. So I want to thank all of you for taking the time to join us today. If you need to reach out to Bret, give me your tag or your information.
Simply yourhouse.com or click Brick at XYZ.
All right. And if you have
XYZ.
There you go. Well, and if you need to reach me, you can always go to UncleDanConsulting.com. Send me an email, dan@UncleDanConsulting.com. And let's have a conversation. We want to thank you guys. Everybody have an awesome day, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thanks, everyone.
PR Connections Radio thanks you for watching this podcast. Check out more episodes of this show and our others at prconnectionsradio.com.